Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers push to make long-term QB move ahead of Week 6. The Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback room has been a topic of conversation since the spring, and for the first 5 weeks of the season, Justin Fields has been the guy. After 2 straight losses with Fields at the helm, however, some believe it could finally be time to turn the offense over to Russell Wilson. Unless, of course, Fields has impressed the Steelers enough to lock up the job long-term. On October 7, Bleacher Report analyst Alex Ballentine called upon Pittsburgh to extend Fields for the 2025 campaign. Justin Fields is starting to make it clear that he needs to be brought back next season, the NFL writer said. Fields has his flaws, but he's shown a good grasp of Arthur Smith's offense, and Smith has seemingly figured out how to accentuate Fields' strengths. Ballentine concluded that it's been a mutually beneficial partnership, and it would make sense for the Steelers to at least re-sign the quarterback on a 1-year contract as the starter. Within the same article, Ballentine also suggested that the Miami Dolphins trade for Wilson ahead of Week 6, further ending the Steelers' quarterback controversy. The offense has looked completely helpless since Tua Tagovailoa left the lineup with the 3rd documented concussion of his pro career, he wrote. Unfortunately, Tagovailoa's timetable for return is still up in the air. Tagovailoa is on injured reserve and isn't eligible to return until Week 8 at the earliest. Although the Dolphins managed to steal a win in Week 5, it was an ugly performance offensively. Ballentine seemed to recognize that when making this suggestion. The Dolphins are going to be hard-pressed to win games with Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson operating the offense, the analyst continued. Calling up the Steelers to see if they would be willing to deal Russell Wilson would be a wise move. Connecting the dots, Ballentine also noted that Pittsburgh's success with Justin Fields under center might push the Steelers to move on from the veteran. Ballentine wasn't the only person backing Fields after the loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Ex-NFL quarterback and ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky doubled down on the current QB1 during the October 7 edition of Get Up. I would say that's the wrong decision, Orlovsky replied when asked what he'd think if Fields was replaced with Wilson in Week 6. I would say that Pittsburgh has an offensive problem, and it is not the quarterback. The offensive line is not very good, they're not running the football nearly as well as I thought they would, he explained. There's 2 or 3 clips where you want to see Justin Fields' eyes in a little bit of a better or more consistent place, but there's no one getting open that much for this offense. Orlovsky's solution was to bring in a better wide receiver opposite George Pickens, which the Steelers could attempt this week if they pursue a trade for Davante Adams. AFC North Power Rankings: Ravens rise after Steelers stumble in Week 5. As Week 5 comes to a close, we're starting to learn a lot about each AFC North team. Some teams are rising to the occasion while others are showing major flaws. Following a 1-3 week, where does each team in the division fall in the weekly power rankings? Let's find out. What the heck is going on in Cleveland right now? Just when you think the season's reached a low point, the Browns remind you they can go lower. A 34-13 loss to the Commanders on Sunday showed just that. The defense struggled to contain Jaden Daniels and improving Commanders' offense. Even with Washington being a better offense than most anticipated, giving up 434 yards is bad for a defense that was supposed to be one of the best in the league. They allowed 215 yards on the ground on over 6 yards a carry. That unit has been disappointing this season and continues to let the Browns down. But this loss was more about the continued struggles of the offense. I can confidently say that Deshaun Watson is the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now. Game after game, he gets worse and worse as he leads the Browns toward the bottom of basically every single offensive statistic. He's a complete joke of a quarterback, and that trade looks worse and worse every single week. The Browns are in big trouble right now. Their offense stinks. The defense is disappointing. And nothing seems like it's going to change. The only thing that's going to change is their schedule. They couldn't beat the Giants and Raiders, and now they have to play contenders from both conferences. Yikes. Similar to the Browns, the Bengals have dug themselves a 1-4 hole to start the season. They're above the Browns because they have at least a facet of their team in a good spot after a 41-38 overtime loss to the Ravens. Joe Burrow looked like the Burrow of old, throwing for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Ja'Marr Chase had his best of the season, catching 10 passes for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's an encouraging sign for a Bengals offense that started the season slow. They'll look to carry that momentum with them going forward. The defense continues to be an issue for the Bengals and is lowering their ceiling as a team. Mike McCarthy says Mike Tomlin's use of last timeout helped Dallas change its call to the right game-winning play. After the Steelers lost to the Dallas Cowboys, 20-17, Sunday night, I wrote that I disagreed with Mike Tomlin's decision to use his last timeout prior to the Cowboys' fourth down snap at the goal line with 26 seconds remaining. The play resulted in a game-winning touchdown pass for the Cowboys. I would have preferred to see Tomlin use that timeout in an effort to avoid a 10-second runoff after Dak Prescott's first down scramble toward the end zone came up short and was reviewed. Or, failing that, I would have preferred that he just hold on to it for when the Steelers got the ball back to perhaps aid in a miraculous quest for a long field goal attempt. But Tomlin decided to use the timeout after he got a look at Dallas formation prior to the snap. We wanted to gather some information, see the structure they came out in, and get ourselves in the right call, Tomlin said. It was a fourth down play. No hesitation about that. We had an opportunity to win the game right there. Forget what comes after. So we took a timeout. We communicated. We got in a call that we liked, and they won the down. Sure, but it also gave the Cowboys a chance to get a look at what the Steelers were doing. Head coach Mike McCarthy ended up making an adjustment and says Pittsburgh's use of the timeout actually helped him make up his mind as to which play he wanted quarterback Dak Prescott to run. We were just watching the communication. Probably no different than they were doing. We call it a Kodak. Just take a picture of the formation, McCarthy told reporters after the game. Common knowledge is maybe make the offensive guy go through his second call. I was in between two calls there. I liked the information that we saw when they called the timeout. So I actually changed the call there for the fourth down call. Prescott ended up hitting Jalen Tolbert for a game-winning score. I wanted a little more protection. We had a chip on TJ Watt. It's a play that we run a lot and practice a lot. Prescott had great patience, and JT did a great job putting that ball on that front pylon, McCarthy said. The plan worked as both tight end Jake Ferguson and right tackle Terrence Steele got their hands on Watt to keep him off of Prescott. Then Prescott threw a well-placed ball to Tolbert, who crossed through traffic just inside the goal line from the right side of the formation to the left cone. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Mike McCarthy? Leave your opinion in the comments.